This is Damian Macy, representing the Friends of the Marshall Public Library, and this is our oral history project. Today I'm at the library with Sandy Newport, and she's got probably some stories to tell us that we didn't know about. So with that, I'll introduce you to Sandy. You can hold it, you can stand there.
I don't have to hold it. Okay. I was born in Edgar County at Paris Hospital in 1950, and I was the first one of the kids born, and I was born where the Forsyth Cemetery is. Do you know where that is? Okay, there used to be a house there, and Mom and Dad lived there when I was born, and I lived there, I don't know how long I lived there, I don't remember. And anyway, my sister was born there too, I think, and then we moved, and we lived up around Scotland for a while. My dad was a farmer, and he farmed for him. And we lived at Bennett's when I started the first grade. You know where the viaduct used to be? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, it's back from that towards Paris, just a little ways from the viaduct. And it was back a road, a dead-end road, and, well, I don't think it was a dead-end road. It used to go through, but it don't anymore. And we was the only ones that lived back that road then. And I had to walk from there, from my grandparents' house out the highway, back home. And sometimes for a first grader, that was a little scary.
And Sandy, what was your maiden name?
Maurer.
Maurer. M-A-U-R-E-R?
Yes.
Okay.
That was my maiden name. Yeah, my mom was Melina Maurer. And she was a Dar before she got married. I tell people my mom used to be an MD before she got married. Then she turned herself into an M&M. Oh, and then we moved, moved to a place up by Brockton. It was a Weesey place. Dad farmed up there for a while. And we liked living there too, because he had the guy that owned one of the brothers, there was two brothers that owned it, and one of them had a Jeep. And us kids was all little, and he'd take us rides in that Jeep, and we thought that was fun.
Oh, that'd be special.
Yeah. And then he'd give us all a dime to go for ice cream.
A lot of money then.
Yeah, we thought, hey, that was pretty good, we thought. Let's see, we had a pet there. We had two pets. One was Duggar. He was a dog, looked kind of like a fox or something. And the other one was Boots, and Boots was a little rabbit dog. What do you call him?
Terrier?
No, he was a rabbit dog. He was a beagle.
Oh, they're cute.
A little beagle. Yeah, he was cute. Yeah, we had him quite a while. And then we had a pet there, a kitten that was wild, and we tamed her. We kind of tamed this little kitten, and we didn't know, we was little kids, we didn't know if it was a boy or girl, so we named her Sally Joe. So if she was a girl, we could call her Sally. If she was a boy, we call her Joe.
Either way. When you were living on the farm, apparently, most of that time, did you have some particular chores and things to do around the house or the farm?
When we lived at Weesey's, I had to gather the eggs. I remember I had to gather the eggs, and one time I went out to that chicken house, and I felt in that nest, and there was something soft and squishy in there, and I jerked my hand back out, and I went in the house, and I said, "Oh, Mom," I said, "there's a snake in that thing." It wasn't. It was a soft egg. It was an egg without the shell.
Ew.
I mean, well, it had a membrane around it,
yeah.
but it, scared me to death. Oh, and while we lived there too, I remember one time a skunk got in he was getting into everything. So Dad and this guy that owned the place, they was gonna shoot it. So it had its den in a corn crib and had a hole in there. And so they set out there to get it, and they took buckets of water out there to run the thing out. And I climbed up on you know how corn cribs have those slats? Well, I climbed up near the top of those slats, and the thing came out and Dad shot it. And when Dad shot it, I just dropped. And it scared him to death because he thought he shot me.
Did you have trouble?
Oh, yeah. It stunk all right.
I bet. Gosh.
There's a lot of... And then when we moved, we lived another place. We always had chores. We had to carry in the coal and the wood when we got old enough and that kind of stuff. And then one place we lived, we had to feed the hogs, water the hogs. Oh, you had to pump. You didn't have all this modern stuff then, so we had to pump it. No, we didn't have a faucet. You had to pump it. And, 5-gallon bucket. And I couldn't carry it by myself, and Sis couldn't either, so we did it together. And together we could carry it and water the hogs. And then after a while, Dad rigged up this pipe, a long pipe, and had a little thing on the front of it that he hooked up over this spout. And then we could pump and it would just run into the trough, and we didn't have to do all that carrying.
That was a modern convenience then, wasn't
it? Yeah, back then it was.
Sure.
All my childhood, we didn't have but one place we lived that was modern and had a restroom in it, and the rest of the places, you went out to the outhouse and you did your bathing in one of those big round tubs.
It worked.
It worked, but I don't want to go back to that.
Did in the places that you lived in, then I assume they were all in the country and being farm oriented?
Yeah, most of them. One time we lived in Paris in a house for only about a few months, I think. We didn't live there too long. Most of the time it was farming.
Country. So did you have some livestock then, like cows?
Oh,
you
yeah.
mentioned running water for the pigs.
Yeah, we had pigs, we had cows, and at one time Dad bought us a pony. That was the orneriest pony. He would let you ride him, but then if he wanted to do something, he'd go do it, and you just hung on.
What was the pony's name?
Beauty.
Beauty.
He was red, brown, red, with a white streak down his face. And he bit my sister once, so he bit her hard. Yeah, and that's when Dad got rid of the pony. He said, we're not having that no more.
Wasn't such a beauty then, huh?
No, well, he was a character. We had a lot of fun out of him, but he was a character. One time I was bent over. I wanted to tie him up to a log. Didn't want to ride him no more, so I wanted to tie him up to a log, and there was a big old log out there, so I bent over to tie him up, and he kicked me in the rump. Yes, he did. And then he just acted like he didn't do nothing.
Had to mind his own.
He did. If you was riding him and he wanted an apple, he'd go around to the apple tree when the apples was ripe, and he was going to get his apple.
And you went with him.
You went with him, or you fell off, whichever.
Did you go to country schools in
No.
that? Okay.
No, I always went to town in school. Bus picked me up.
Because they did have buses, I know, by that time.
Yeah, I think they had just recent went to them, and yeah.
So that was into Paris then for
No,
school?
when we lived in Paris and I went to the Paris school, I lived in town just for a few months there in the second grade. Then we moved to Brockton, and I was back out in the country, and then we got bused into town.
To Brockton. Okay.
Then when I was I went to third grade in Brockton. Then when I was in the fourth grade, we moved back to Marshall, and I was at North School, the old North School.
Yeah.
And I went to school there for a year. And then in the fifth and sixth, I went to South School.
Okay. Now the North School, was that the old two-story school downtown here?
Yeah.
Okay. I went the first 4 years there myself.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What are your some particular memories about that building?
Oh, I know one. You know how whenever the bus used to pick you up, well, if you lived in the country, the bus picked you up at the school and took you out to the high school, and then you would get on your regular bus. Well, okay. Me and some of the other girls was waiting on the bus, and it wasn't coming. And I said to the other girls, there was 2 other girls there, and I said, you know, I said, we could walk to high school quicker than this. I said, let's just walk. And they said, okay. So we take off walking for the high school. Well, of course, we couldn't make it there in time. We was in the 4th grade. We couldn't make it there in time.
You're in the 4th grade then at the North School?
Yeah, we was going to walk to the high school. And so we take off walking, and I saw I wasn't going to make it. They was ahead of me, we kind of got separated, but I knew I wasn't going to make it. So finally I ran up on this lady's porch, and I knocked on the door, and she was changing her baby, and I said, hey lady, I said, can you take me to school? I can make the bus. And she said, okay. She said,
well, she did.
Yeah, she did. She said, okay, just let me finish changing the baby. I'll take you. And she did, yeah. So I made my bus, but the other girl didn't make the bus, and she was walking home, and her mom caught her, and she got in trouble.
So you knew the route at least, so you know which direction to take off from then to get there.
Yeah. Mom said, oh, my mom was mad. She said, Sandy, you don't just go up on somebody's porch and ask them. I said, well, I did, Mom. I said, I was going to be late.
Well, it sounded like it worked.
It worked. Oh, I was always doing something like that, hitching rides, and she'd get so mad at me. I remember one time I went sledding at a girl's house, and it was real cold, you know, and so then I was walking home, my feet was getting so cold, and finally a truck pulled over and said, did I want to ride? And I said, sure, and I hopped in there and I rode home. And when they let me out at home, it wasn't very far, it's just like a quarter of a mile, it wasn't very far. But when they let me out, Mom met me at the door and she said, Sandra, do you know who you just rode home with? I said, no, I don't know him, Mom, but he was a nice guy. I said, my feet was cold. And she said, I was like 9, and she said, Sandy, it was okay because I know the guy and he wouldn't have hurt you. But she said, you could have got in with somebody that would hurt you. She said, don't do that.
But I think at that time and that age, it was a much freer thing, and you did not have the worries of the problems that are there today.
No, but there still was some.
Oh, yeah.
But she said, if you don't know somebody, you don't get in there. But guess what? I still did it.
You didn't do any hitchhiking, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, even after she warned me. Yeah, one time she sent me for some eggs at the neighbors, and I was walking home and had the eggs, and the mailman came along, so I went like that, like you said. He picked me up.
Did Mom know that?
Yeah, she wasn't too happy about that. She never was happy when I did that stuff. And I said, the mailman said, you know, I'm not really supposed to pick you up. He said, I'm not supposed to do this, but he said, all right. And so he took me home.
Do you know who the mailman was?
I don't remember.
Do you know his name?
I don't remember. But I was always doing something crazy like that.
Going back, I guess, to the old North Side building, when I went there wasn't such a thing as refrigerated drinking fountains. There was no cafeteria. It was pretty primitive. Really.
Yeah, there wasn't anything like that.
But did your mother send you a lunch to eat at school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, she usually sent lunch, and she usually peanut butter and jelly or a hot dog or something. Nowadays they wouldn't want you to send hot dogs, would they? Because they'd think they would spoil or something, but got by fine.
Do you remember some of the things other than that your mother put in that sack, or did you trade with some of the other kids the things they might have?
I don't think I traded.
Okay.
I think I usually liked what she sent, and I usually ate it.
Do you remember, you were in the 4th grade, you said there?
At the North School,
Do you remember what your teacher's name was there?
I think it was Mrs. Baker.
Okay. That would have been,
Yeah, it was Mrs. Baker.
okay.
Do you remember her?
No. I had, for my 4th grade there, it was the last grade I went, and then we moved to Martinsville, I had Ethel Hutchison.
I don't know her.
And that would have been in 1947, I believe. So she would probably had retired shortly after that. So she was probably retired before you went there.
Well, I had Mrs. Baker. And then I had Mrs. Baker, and my sister was in the 3rd grade, and she had Mrs. Pancake.
Okay.
And we always got teased about that by our cousins for having Mrs. Baker and Mrs. Pancake.
Oh dear.
And then when we went to South School, when I did, then I had my mother-in-law, Mrs. Newport, in the 5th grade. Had her, and then I had Mr. Grubb in the 6th grade. And he sent me to the principal's office. Well, he went with me. Because I wore pedal pushers to school. And back then you didn't do that. But I did.
A no-no.
Huh?
That was a no-no.
That was a no-no.
Do you have some particular memories of, say, recess or anything, what you did when you had some free time?
No. Not especially. We just played games and stuff. One of the things we did at the North School, I think that was at North School, me and some of the girls played, I don't know, like one of us would be a horse and the other one would be the driver. And you know, back then sometimes you had dresses with little bows on the back, so they'd be the reins.
Well, I remember North School didn't have much in the way of playground equipment. There was a couple teeter-totters, a few swings, and a merry-go-round, and I think that was just about it.
Yep. Well, back then you used your imagination more, and you just made your own games and did your own.
And I think that helped to use
Yeah, we didn't have computers.
No.
That seems strange to me, but back then you made your own games up, and you didn't have all this. Well, when I was born, you didn't even have a television. We didn't have a television when I was born, I know. And then we got our first one, I think, when we lived up at Weesey's when I was 7 or 8. We got the first TV.
And kids today say, how on earth could you live without it?
I know.
But I did just fine, too.
Didn't bother me none.
And I could even go back today, I guess, and I could probably live without it.
Yeah, I could. I know I could, but...
So did you went to the South or North School, then you said you went to the South School. Mm-hmm. And that was in the big old 2-story building that was there then, too?
Yeah. Yeah, that was in the big old 2-story building, yeah.
Do you remember anything particular about it?
No. Not that I can really think of, no. It didn't have a cafeteria either or nothing. Mm-mm. Then we went to junior high and high school, and I remember stuff about that because I remember I'd come uptown. I don't know if I did in junior high, but high school I'd come up. Yeah, in junior high we'd cut across that field and go to that restaurant. It was a
Colonial Kitchen.
Colonial Kitchen. And we'd go there for lunch sometimes, as kids would. Yeah. And they had some kind of fritters, and that's what I'd order. I liked them, whatever they was. And then in high school, I got to come walking uptown on our lunch hour, and I would go to the drugstore and have a milkshake. Well, Mom found that out, and she didn't like me just having a milkshake. She said, Sandy, you don't just go have a milkshake every day. I said, I do.
Was that Martin's Drugstore, which was just a couple doors down here?
Yeah.
I knew Paul Martin quite well. That was a great asset for the community.
Yeah, it was. And then she didn't like that, and I went to Colonial Kitchen. I had donuts. She really didn't like that.
You had a sweet tooth, huh?
Yes, I did. Yep. So then I started working in the cafeteria, and you'd get your lunch free if you worked in the cafeteria. So I did that for a while. And I remember one time I was washing off the tables, and Mr. Bush come up to me, and he said, I really like seeing you do this. He said, that shows, I don't know what he said anyway, like I was willing to work or something. He said he used to do that when he was a kid too.
He was quite a humanitarian. So with the school then, do you have, was there a favorite subject you had in high school?
Recess. No, English maybe. I liked English. You couldn't tell it now, but I did.
Right. I'll put that the other way then. Did you have a particular subject that you really didn't like?
Arithmetic. I didn't like arithmetic. And spelling, I wasn't very good at spelling either. I didn't really like that real well. Geometry and all that, I thought, I'm never going to use this. What do I have to take it for?
It's kind of complicated up there when you're trying to figure out those things, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So during high school then, were you living in the country of Marshall?
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned school bus, so I assume.
Yeah, we lived out, when we moved back to Marshall, first we lived what they called on the corner. And it's on the Denison Road, and it's like there's a corner there. The first, do you know the crossroads there? You can't come to the first.
Denison, yeah, okay,
You go way out there, and we lived on that corner.
okay.
There was used to be like a schoolhouse they made into a house, and it only had 4 rooms, and there was 5 of us. And my little brother, he didn't have a bedroom. Me and Sis had a bedroom. Mom and Dad had a bedroom. Poor Donnie didn't have a bedroom. So Mom put him in the front room for a while. She had him in a bed in the front room. Well, she got tired of that, so she put him in the kitchen.
And close to the food might not be bad.
He was only little. He wasn't very old. He wasn't in school yet. So she had his bed in the kitchen for a while. And that was kind of different.
So those days I guess would be in Denison then, is an address?
But we wasn't in Denison.
Okay.
We was
but right sort of outside of it.
We was outside of Denison, yeah.
Okay. So for shopping and things, did that take you to Marshall, or did you go
Mostly Marshall.
Marshall?
Mostly. Do you know where the Asbury Church is?
Yes.
Okay, well this was just back towards the Denison Road from there, that crossroads.
Okay, because there used to be a little grocery store it was on Route 40, and I think it was called
That was Weaver.
Weaver.
That was Weaver. Yeah. Rode my bike there one time. We moved to McConkey's. Do you know where Max McConkey lives?
No, I don't.
I think he lives there now. His mom and dad lived there. We lived there anyway at McConkey's, and it was just right down the road from where we lived before. But anyway, it was a 2-story house. That was a lot better for all of us. I forgot what I was going to tell you about it.
Well, we were talking about shopping and Weaver and...
Oh yeah, I rode my bike to Weaver from there. And we was riding, I got Leanne Weiss. Her name was Leanne Weiss then, it's not Weiss now, I can't remember what it is now, but we decided to ride our bikes to Weaver, and oh my, we was riding, and we came to this one house, and there was this, what do you call it, a police dog started chasing us. And I was riding as fast as I could, and she said, wait for me. I said, everybody for themselves. I was riding. It didn't get either one of us. And then her mom got real mad at us because we weren't supposed to cross the highway, but we did.
Because the store was on the south side.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah.
They had only groceries there, didn't they? I mean, they didn't have anything like a general store.
No, it was like
just
groceries. Yeah. Candy, that's what we was after. I know, I got sweet.
Did you occasionally go to Terre Haute for shopping? I mean,
Oh,
in
yeah.
that area you could go.
Yes, and when I was a kid, I'm telling you, I hated going to Terre Haute. I hated
Really?
it. Yes, because I didn't like that smell. I called it Terrible Terre Haute because if I had to tell somebody I was going, I said, yeah, we're going to Terrible Terre Haute because I didn't like that smell. They don't have that anymore. Oh, that was awful. I didn't like to go to town that much, period. I just liked it in the country. but I really didn't like Terre Haute. I like it now, but I didn't like it then.
Sometimes it still even has a certain smell.
Yeah, I know.
Going back to high school and all, what year did you graduate then from the school?
I graduated in '69
Okay.
from high school. Because, see, I failed the second grade. We was moving around a lot. I failed that one. But there was something else I was going to tell you about. What was we talking about just before that?
Well, it's about the Terre Haute
Oh, yeah.
and crossing the highway, and you're pedaling your bicycle on the.
Oh, well, I'm going to go back to the pony. Remember that pony I said we had? Well, one time, my brother, like I said, he's 5 years younger than me. And so he wanted on the pony. So I said, okay, Donnie, I'll help you on the pony. I said, he wasn't old enough, he couldn't get his feet in that stirrup thing. So I said, I'll just hold my hands like this, and I said, I'll boost you up there. And he said, okay. So he put his little foot in there, and I boosted him, but he went over the pony and fell on the ground. He looked up at me and said, Sandy, don't help me anymore.
I was going to say that probably did not feel too good when he landed on the ground on the other side.
I doubt it.
I can just.
Oh,
So leaving high school then, what was your path after that?
I got married while I was still in high school. And everybody thought I had to, but I didn't. But we just wanted to. But anyway, I remember one time Dad sat down beside me on the couch. And look, I was only 18 when I got married, okay? And he sits down beside me, and I told Dad I was going to be an old maid. He said, I thought you was going to be an old maid. And I said, well, Dad, I changed my mind.
Well, who is the gentleman that you married?
Steve Newport. Yep.
Now, was he out of school at that time?
No, he was out of high school, but
High
he
school.
was in college.
Okay.
We both graduated the same year, him out of college and me out of high school. And we moved into a one-room log cabin. We had a heating stove in there, and a cook stove, and a refrigerator, and a bed, and that was a table. And I don't know how we got all that stuff in there, but we did. And we had a little, it wasn't a nightstand, it was a little, I can't think what you call them. But anyway, we had our wash basin thing on it. I mean, there wasn't no modern in there except for the heat.
Where was that located, Sandy?
On Steve's dad's farm. Yeah, it was away from their house, but a little bit.
And that would have been in the
West Union area,
right?
yeah. Yeah. I remember you had to go to the outhouse at night, you know. And I remember one time Steve got up and he was going outside and it was slick, and boy, he fell. He hit it was a great big rock thing for a step up to the thing, and he stepped on that and down he went. I bet that didn't feel too good either.
Gosh, no. A little probably drafty too when you hit the ground. Since you were in the West Union area at that time, and thinking back, there was still kind of a nucleus or a downtown business area in West Union. At
Oh
that
yeah, there
time,
was a
too.
grocery store.
Several things.
And a filling station. There was something else, I can't remember. There's a restaurant, you know.
Was the theater
No.
not in operation yet?
Well, if it was, I didn't know it. We didn't go there, so. I don't think it was there then. I think it had went away by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could really do some of your like grocery shopping and things in West Union.
Yeah, you could. I didn't do too much there. I did a little bit, but not too much.
So still then was most of your shopping in
Marshall. Yeah, Marshall. Most of the time. Which Terre Haute once in a while, but it's mostly Marshall.
What are some of your memories of downtown Marshall at that time?
Oh, one of my best memories is Christmas time. They had all the stores, you know, uptown then. And they had all the lights and the music. And Santa Claus would be out there. And it was fun. I liked all
One
that
time
music.
they put little containers along the sidewalk, and it was a place where people, the businesses, could put their Christmas trees. So basically, each business had a Christmas
Yeah.
tree that was lighted at that time.
Mm-hmm. It was beautiful downtown. Yep.
How about some, you mentioned the drugstore. How about some of the other businesses? You remember some of those that were downtown?
Yeah, the dime store. They had the dime store. I liked it, yeah. We used to have fun in there.
Did you ever buy any other candy?
Of course. You think I didn't buy any? Of course. Yeah. Oh, and that was after I got growed up, but I got this little rabbit there about that big. It's a timer. I still got it. And it, you know, it's a timer for when you're cooking.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cute. And Lois Norton used to work in there. I remember her. And
Was
yeah.
that Caldwell's at that time, or did that have another name?
remember.
I don't either. It later became Caldwell's, and they expanded.
Seems like there was something before that.
I think
but
there was another name.
I can't
but
think
I can't
of what it
remember
was.
either. Okay, you're married and living in West Union.
Yeah, and we lived there in that cabin for 6 months, and then we moved to Columbus, Indiana, because Steve got a job up at Columbus, Indiana. And we moved up there in an apartment. Oh, we was looking for apartments, and we finally found this one, and I didn't really like it, but it was a place to live, and we had to have a place pretty quick, so it was like a duplex. And the one side was like a shotgun house, you know, it had you walked into the front room, and then there was a bedroom, and the bathroom, and then the kitchen. And then there was this little room on the side that you could use for a utility room, and you could go downstairs to the basement. Well, okay, the people that rented it to us, they said, now, you can't have a washer and dryer here because your other side can't, so you can't. And you can't use the basement. It's like, but anyway, that's how it was. And so then when we lived there for a few months, then the people on the other side moved out, so we moved over there because we liked it better. It was more like a house. It had a front room, kitchen, and bedroom, but they weren't just in a line.
Really?
I didn't like the bedroom being in the middle of the house. I didn't like that. And so, boy, we had some dandy neighbors there, and I don't mean that good. The one neighbor that moved in where we used to live, she was just 16, I think, and they had a baby. And he was always running around on her. And he would, if somebody come to the door and she wasn't there, one time I know he did it. He said to that person that come to the door, it was one of that girl's friends, and he said, "Oh, haven't you heard?" Said her and the baby got killed in a car wreck. He was that kind of guy. He was awful.
Oh, gee.
And one time I know somebody came, one of them girls came around, I don't know. I said, he's not going to marry you. I said, he's married. Because he'd told her he's going to marry her. I said, no, he's married. And I said, they got a baby. I said, they ain't going to do nothing like that. And me and Steve came home every weekend back then. And so we came home, and this was on a weekend when she did it. And that girl came back, I guess, and scattered the whole porch with trash, just trashed it.
Oh, gee.
That wasn't a fun place to live.
Quite a memory though, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and then we moved from that apartment. Steve found a place out in an addition called Lowell Addition. It was a nice house. It had 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, a kitchen, a front room. It was a nice house. It was pink sided. Had pink siding on it. And Steve, it was kind of chalky looking. It got chalky looking. And Steve spent the whole summer, one summer, waxing that whole house with car wax. Looked real nice when he got done, but
Well, at that particular time, there's a lot of, even cars made pink and black.
Yeah.
Clothes were pink and black, so
Yeah.
pink was quite a popular color for a while there.
yeah. And then we moved from there to another place, and it had 4 bedrooms and a bathroom and a utility room. It was a real nice place. Oh, that other place we lived though, the first place, the pink house I told you about, you had to have your washer and dryer in the kitchen, so I did. And Steve bought me a washer and dryer, and I was glad he did, but then the washing machine was a front loader, and it quit working, and the water wouldn't drain out. The only way I could get it was open the door, and everywhere the water went. Oh, that was a mess. I told him, don't ever buy me a front loader again.
And they're making them again now, quite a popular item, I guess.
Well, they can have them. They ain't fun when they go bad.
Everything seems to anymore. So you had some good memories, it sounded like, too, in Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
Were you working at all at that time? Or
No, the first 11 years of our marriage, I didn't work out. He had a good job, and so I didn't. And then when he lost his job because of the economy and all. So we moved back here, back into that one-room cabin. Can you imagine going from 4 bedrooms back to a one-room cabin? Yeah, that's what we did.
You recall approximately what year that was? That you
80,
moved
I
back?
think. I'm not sure, but I think it was 80. And we lived there another 6 months, and then I got a job at Coil Sales, but not the one out there, but there was one in town then. Coil Sales had a place in town, so I got a job there, and I worked there for a while, and then I got a chance to get on TRW, so I went there, and I think I worked there for 8 years. And we lived in town. We moved to town for a while, and I'm telling you, because what happened, I got that job, and I told Steve I'm moving out of this cabin. I said, I'm moving to town. I said, you can come or stay, I'm moving. And I did. Me and Steve did. I was like, staying here. But anyway, when we lived in town here, I remember I was walking home from TRW one time. We didn't live very far from there. And there was a squirrel, and he was up on a high wire, and he was coming across the electric wires, and he fell down right between my legs. Now that was scary. I jumped and hollered, and one of the neighbors was out there. He said, did he bite you? I said, no, he just scared me.
So did he take off and
Oh
run?
yeah, he just took off and run.
They seem like bounce almost.
Yeah. That was scary. And then where we live at now, in Steve's mom and dad's house, it was been 2 or 3 years ago this happened. And I've got a little dog named Critter. He's a Pomeranian.
They're cute.
And I'd let him out, and I heard him. He was out at the edge of the yard, and he was just barking. And I thought, what's he barking at? I did something in the house, I forget what, and I came back. He was barking so bad, and I looked out there, and there was 3 wolves out there in the field. They was smelling around. They wasn't very far into the field either. And they was smelling around. They was running this way, 3 of them. And I ran out there to get my dog because I didn't want him out there with him. And I ran out there and I grabbed my dog up, and one of them ran towards a creek, one of them wolves, and the other 2 ran up towards our neighbors. And I got my dog and I ran in the house. I wasn't going to stay out there with them. And then I watched, and the one wolf came back that had went to the creek and went with the other. They must have been after a deer or something, smelling a deer, because they just kept smelling around there. I was like, that was kind of scary.
I think so. With the wolves, they could make a meal out of a small dog.
Yeah, me too. I ran out there and got him, and I ran back in the house. Somebody said, well, did they chase you? I said, no, they didn't bother. They didn't.
Yeah.
they didn't pay much attention to us.
Probably kind of surprised them too.
Maybe, but they didn't pay much attention to us. And then one other time, I had a dog named Maisie, and she was part Rottweiler and part bird dog. And she looked more like a Rottweiler, though. Anyway, she'd always come to me when I called her, and I went out there one day and I called her, and I walked down towards the creek, and I was calling her, and boy, all of a sudden, here she come, but instead of coming to me, she just went right on by. And I looked, and there was a coyote after her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't fun either.
That's part of our Clark County wildlife.
Yeah.
Did you have, as a youngster, some hobbies or things that you like to do, and maybe even
I like to
maintain
fish.
today?
I like to fish. That's what I like to do. And I fished in this little pond that wasn't too far from us, and it wasn't too deep. And I made me a little fishing pole. It was only this long. And you know how they used to have that fishing line that was like cotton or something?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I made it out of that long of a stick and that, and when I'd go fishing in that pond, it didn't have very big fish. It had little yellow bellies in it, And I'd throw that line out there, and I'd catch me a fish, and I'd flip it, and it'd just flip off of there. I didn't even have to take it off the hook. I had fun doing that, and the hogs ate the fish, so I didn't have to worry about them.
Yeah, some people just like the fish, just the idea of catching them and then put it around. Even
Yeah.
larger fish, I'll put them right back in the lake or the river.
I didn't put them back too much. I just flipped them out of there.
Did you have large enough ones that you could fillet and
Once in a while,
have dinner?
but once in a while I did, but mostly I just fed them to the hogs or to the cats. I didn't want to dress them catfish. I don't mind dressing bluegill or bass or fillet them or something, but I don't like catfish. I like to eat them, but I don't
Yeah.
like to dress them.
We all kind of fit in that category. With the, you're working at, say, at TRW, that was the building, the old building, before they did all of their
Yeah.
expansion, wasn't it? On Second Street,
Yeah.
I guess. Were you
Well, they
in-
expanded some.
Yeah, I know did several times.
Yeah.
But it was, I guess, a very small operation compared to what it is today.
Yeah.
Were you in the production line, winding coils and things, or?
Yeah. We made car parts. We had to stick the parts in there and stuff.
Okay.
That's what I was mostly involved in. And then I went from there. I worked at Walmart for a while as a greeter. I wasn't too good at that. I worked as a greeter, and I liked talking to everybody and stuff, but one time when I first started working there, these people came in. Oh, it was horrible. These people came in, and I said, "Hi, welcome to Kmart."
Ouch.
They said, their eyes got big, and they said, "What?" And I said, "Oh, I mean Walmart." That wasn't very good, was it?
You kept your job though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, till Christmas time. Then after Christmas, I got laid off again. But they had these little cars there around Christmas time that had with a motor. And so I played with them. I was running them all over the floor. It's a wonder I kept my job as long as I did. And I was running all over the floor. That was fun too.
Did you take one of those home for a Christmas present for Steve?
No.
No.
No. Sometimes I spent almost my whole check on clothes, though. They'd have sales and I'd buy clothes. Steve said, "Now you've got to quit this." And then I went from there. I started in the nursing homes.
At Burnside?
Well, I started out at Paris Healthcare.
Oh.
That's where I got my certificate and worked for about a year there. And then I come down here to Burnside and worked for about 14 years. At Burnside, and that was fun. Oh, it wasn't always fun, but it's not a bad job.
The time that you were at Burnside, was there a major change in healthcare handling at all, or?
Yeah, some. Your major job is to take care of the residents, you know, but then the government gets in it,
Yeah,
and you got a lot of paperwork and a lot of extra stuff that wasn't. We didn't think it was necessary, but anyway.
do you recall who the administrators of the
Well,
Burnside?
when I started, it was Jackie.
Jackie Williams?
Yeah, Jackie Williams was most of the time when I was there. And then we got another one, I can't remember his name. He wasn't too popular. The next guy, I can't think of his name, but he wasn't too popular.
Don Smitley was there for a while, but that would have been, I
wasn't
think,
him.
before that.
No, wasn't him. This guy wasn't there too long. He had the pond took out, and everybody liked that pond, but he
Oh, yeah.
had it took out. And then there was another one, I can't remember who that was.
So in 14 years at Burnside, were you living in West Union then, and you drove up there? Okay. You learned about every pothole in Route 1 then, didn't you?
Burnt near. And then after I stopped working there, I had a heart attack while I worked.
my.
Yeah, so I had to quit working there because you couldn't. The heart doctor told me I couldn't lift, push, or pull anything over 50 pounds. So you know everybody was there and
Yeah.
everything there, so you couldn't do that. So I started. I worked for you know Linda Maurer that has the daycare center.
Okay, no, I know who she is. I don't.
Well, I worked for her for just a little bit, and then I worked for another lady. She was a Maurer too. Zola Maurer. I worked for her, just not keeping house for her, but just taking care of her, running errands and stuff like that.
Now, your maiden name was Maurer.
Maurer, yeah.
Are they
Yeah.
related
Yeah.
at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. My dad and her husband was cousins.
Okay.
And same with Linda's dad. It was cousin to my dad. And so anyway, I did that for a while. And then I got a job with a Mr. Mackey. Can't think. Fitton Mackey, did you know him?
Yeah.
Okay, I worked for him for a while. That's a real nice family. I worked for them, taking care of him for a while. That was a fun job, because he was a real nice guy. I just kept house and cooked and for him fixed these meals.
Did you mentioned something about you getting your certificate? Was that a nursing certificate or
No, a CNA.
CNA, okay.
You have to have a. You have to
I
have
couldn't
a.
recall what they were called.
You have to have a certificate for that.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what helped you then with the individual when you were working for individual people too?
Yeah, because you kind of learned what's, you know.
Yeah.
And I still keep house for about 3 people. After my heart attack, though, I had to slow down. I didn't.
Go ahead.
I didn't really have a heart attack when I was working for the nursing home, but it was getting bad. And then after that, I had a heart attack, and I had a whole lot of houses. I was taking care of houses and a big church and stuff, and I had to cut back. I can't do that much anymore. I was busy every day of the week except Sunday.
Well, it's kind of probably slow down a bit.
Yeah, I guess.
Sandy, is there a person or an individual in your life that has really been a big influence, you think?
A person or an individual? Probably my mom.
Okay.
She's 85, and she can still work circles around me. That woman goes like a fire. She's kind of slowing down now, but boy, Just the other day, about a week or so ago, she washed down her whole house. She did. And then she cleaned 2 flower beds, not that same day, thank goodness. And she still climbs up on ladders and cleans her gutters and this and that and the other.
Ouch.
Yeah, we tried to get her to quit and she won't. So.
And what is her name?
Melina Maurer.
Melina. Okay.
They just call her Millie, but yeah, she's slowing down though.
Better help pull her in the rain a bit.
Well, we've tried. You can't.
At that age, good luck. We've all got so many nice things around us and modern inventions and all. Is there something you would say, I just could not live without that if it wasn't around anymore?
Well, something would be hard to live without your refrigerator. I like my refrigerator. Mm-hmm. That would be hard to live without. And modern water that you just turn on the tap.
Well, there is.
Going out and getting it in the bucket, it's not near as much.
And there's all these things we kind of take for granted too. The light switch you flip
Yeah,
on,
just
you
flip it
expect
on.
to be power.
But no, I could do without that if I could have my refrigerator.
But and you expect the door when you open it, the light to come on.
Yes.
And to have things cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's part of the things we all get kind of used to and just kind of expect. Has there been a major political event or event in the world that has really made an impact on your thinking?
This year's election, it's the worst one I ever seen in my whole life.
You're the first person that said that, but I kind of agree with you.
This election this year, I never seen nothing like it. You don't have nothing to vote for, the people's crazy. That's what I think. I'm just saying it. Oh, Trump don't mind what he says. Well, I'm saying that I think they're both crazy.
That's about right.
Good grief. I don't really, Hillary, she's kind of leading us into socialism. I don't really like that. And I don't like Obamacare. And Trump, he just, I don't know what he's going to do to us if he gets in.
Okay. Well, Sandy, it's been a delight visiting with you and learning a little bit about your background and your family life. If you were in some other country, say, and you told someone, I'm from Marshall, Illinois, and they said to you, where's that and what's that all about? What would you tell them about Marshall or Clark County and why they might want to visit here?
Well, I'd tell them most of the people are pretty nice. And it's kind of historical. There's historical places here they could visit. That's probably what I'd tell them. They'd enjoy it.
Okay.
It's a quiet town. It's not rowdy like some places. Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's peaceful.
Pretty livable.
Yep.
Well, as I say, this has been a real delight visiting with you. And you didn't mention anything about children. Do you have?
We don't have any children.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I just thought I'd check that. With the future and the politics coming up, I guess we all learn to live with some of those things. And I hope your refrigerator keeps working.
So do I. You know what? It keeps not working every once in a while. I have to buy a new one. I think our electricity's not so good in our place.
Well, Sandy, it's been a real fun and delight visiting with you, and I appreciate it. And thank you for your time being with us today. And as I said earlier, this is not something for today or tomorrow, really, but it goes in the file and will be transcribed sometime, be in a book out here, and on computer also. People can listen to it. And somewhere someone's going to say, gee, I didn't know that about Sandy Newport.
Well, there's a lot I didn't tell you they don't know about Sandy Newport.
But this will kind of help fill the gap, I guess.
Yep.
And I've enjoyed it so much.
Thank you.
Is